And what we're going to do is time to we can talk after that. Okay, yeah. So we're going to go through, awesome. We're going to go through these, and then what I'm going to do is the grade book and see class pick. It's mostly class pick in the course and get some of that work done so you can get your right. So, the first problem on out your steps. So what I personally like to do is go ahead and solve it. I will go back and write out the steps that I did. So let's go ahead and start that way. So we are going to first distribute this -2 into my parentheses. So when I look at this, I have something together, but I do have this number right next to the parentheses, which indicates to multiply. Is anyone else having trouble hearing me? I just finished teaching a class and it went fine. Is anyone else having problems hearing me? Is Richard, you guys are all having trouble hearing me? Okay, let me get my headset out. Here it is. Seem to be any better yet. I might have to switch my. Is that better? Worse? Same? Okay. How does that sound? Does it sound anything better when I'm talking? Okay, awesome. Alrighty, well, let's try with this. I'll have to unplug my sloppy writing on the board. Alrighty, so when I say that we're going to distribute the -2, that means we are going to multiply. So nothing happens to my 3. I'm going to have -2 times that's going to be negative 2. And that's going to be equal to 4x minus 5. Okay, now what I'm going to do next is combine my like terms. So I have a number, plain number 3 and a plain number 2. So I'm going to go ahead and subtract those. So 3 minus 2 would be 1. And then my negative 2x would stay the same. From here, I'm going to go ahead and get my variables, this negative 2x and my 4x. I need to get them on the same side. So what I like to do is if I have a positive and a negative variable, I like to move the negative one because then that means I get to do addition. And I prefer to add rather than subtract. So I'm going to add 2x to both sides. So I would get 1 equals 6x minus 5. That's good, Richard. Me too. Alrighty, now I'm going to go ahead and get rid of this minus 5. So to undo subtracting 5, I'm going to add 5. So I would get 6 equals 6x. And then in my final step, I'm going to divide everything by 6. So I'm going to get x equals 1. Yeah, good, Richard. Hey, Jonathan. Okay, what's your question? Okay, well, let's work on that after I'm done going through this, okay? Right now we're doing a question that's actually going to be on your Unit 1 writing assignment. Alrighty, so now the second part on the test is you're going to write out your steps that you did. So what we're going to do is we're just going to write in sentences or in words. It doesn't have to be a complete sentence. You're going to write out what you did. Richard, so when I say writing assignment, it's not like you have to write like a paper or anything. Basically, this is just the written part of your test. So the test that's in the course today is multiple choice. There's like 1 or 2 fill in the blanks, and then there's a part 2 of your test where you write out and show me all of your work. So one part of that is you're going to write out your steps. So I would put number 1, I distributed -2 to x and 1. Okay. So all you're doing in this writing out your steps is you're just going back to your problem and you are saying, okay, what did I do? Jonathan, the writing assignment is already open. It's not due until Monday, but if you don't have anything else and you wanted to get a head start on it, you can do it today. All right, so step 1, I distributed. Step 2 was I combined like terms, which was the 3 minus 2. For step 3, I added 2x to both sides. Step 4, I added 5 to both sides. Step 5, divide both sides by 6. And that was my last step. So that's all you have to do. You can write it as a list like that. You can write it like as a little paragraph. You can write it in sentences. However you feel comfortable explaining to me in words what you did to solve the problem. All right, any questions over this, or does anyone need me to pause on this page for a minute while you write?
Is this question on the quiz?
So this exact question is not going to be on the test, like with these exact numbers, but there is a test question on your Unit 1 writing assignment in Class Kick that follows these same steps. So you will do something very, very similar to this.
I still can't get into Class Kick.
Okay, well, why don't we need you to be able to get in there. So whenever I'm finished with this next problem, we'll go log in and try to get you in there, okay?
Okay.
Okay, anyone else have any questions? Alrighty, then let's go on to the next one. So this next one is going to be pretty much the same thing, except for it's an inequality. So we're going to have to graph our solution as well. So first, let's go ahead and solve this. I'm going to take this -4 and distribute it to my x and to my -1. So I'm going to have 2x minus 4x plus 1. So the reason I have a plus 1 is because -4 times -1 is positive. Oh, that should be 4. Sorry, positive 4. So we're going to get a positive number. Alrighty, so the next thing then that I'm going to do is combine my like terms. So I have 2x minus 4x. Those are on the same side already. So I'm just going to go ahead and subtract those. So I'm going to get -2x plus 4 is greater than or equal to 8. Alrighty, so again, I want to solve for x. So I'm going to subtract this 4 from both sides. So when I do that, I'm going to get -2x is greater than or equal to 4. And I'm going to then divide everything by a -2. So when I divide by a negative, my sign has to flip. So now I have x is less than -2, less than or equal to. So let's go ahead. Does anyone have, yes, when we divide by a negative. Does anyone have any questions about how I solved that? Okay, so now what we're going to do is go ahead and graph our solution. So am I going to have an opened or a closed circle at -2? What do y'all think? Anybody? Open or closed circle? Yeah, good, Jonathan. It's going to be closed because I have a less than or equal to sign. So let's go ahead and draw a closed circle at -2. We're going to color it in. And then I want to shade towards all the numbers for x that could be less than or equal to 2. So I'm actually going to go to the left. Alrighty, so then our last step that we're going to have to do on our writing assignment is we are then going to have to write out our steps. So the first thing, I'm just going to go back through and say, okay, what did I do at each step? Well, the first thing that I did, I distributed. So distribute -4 to x and -1. The second thing I did was combine 2x minus 4x. The third thing I did was subtract 4 from both sides. The fourth thing I did was divide by -2. And then lastly, I had to flip inequality sign. Okay. All right, I'm going to go ahead and stop the recording